This is your final assignment, so make sure that you've turned in everything else, because without that, you're going to be overwhelmed with doing this plus the work that was already requested. So if you turned your work in, no worries, we have it. It's just taking them a little bit of time because we have so many students coming out at the same time and so many individuals turned in their work at the same time. I think we have like 38 students that are finishing right around the same time, okay? So no worries. We have it. We're just getting to it, okay? So if you get a message from them about any of the work that you've turned in, just make those adjustments. I'm available all days on Tuesdays and Fridays when we have classes closing out. Just pick up the phone and call me, ask your question, take your notes, have everything in front of you so that we can look at it, and then you can just switch or change out whatever needs to be changed, okay? Because everything has to meet the course criteria. The criteria is aligned with what the CDA Council is looking for. Make sense? So it's like a double check for you guys. And everything is manually reviewed. Okay. Alrighty, so to complete this sheet, you all should have all just received a new email that has the same information on the side of it. We call it the field exercise cheat sheet. And it just kind of tells you what to match on each line. So if you have your book in front of you, this is aligned with your RC2. So your resource collection 2 should pretty much be the only resource that we have not done yet. So everything else, excuse me, everything else, you just want to check your book and make sure that you've completed. If I missed anything, this will give you an opportunity to just ask me about it. But we should have completed RC1, 2, and 3 with your general resources. RC3 is your bibliography. You should have completed that. RC4 was assigned. It looks like it's in notes 4. RC5 was a part of the general resource collection. RC6-1 may be the only thing that we may or may not have talked about, so just double check, but it's pretty self-explanatory and it's in the book. RC2 you should have, and RC3 was in the general resources. So every resource collection outside of RC2 should be completed. Please let me know in chat that you understand that. Every resource outside of resource 2 should be completed. Let me know in chat that you got that, that you've gathered that, and that you know that we've done it in class. Perfect. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to me because it may mean that you've missed something that was assigned, all right? So this supports RC2. So if you go to page, I believe it might be 15 in your book. It may be 14 or 16, depending on which version of book you have. You want to go ahead and locate that, please. Okay, everybody was able to find that? Perfect. So and guys, forgive me a little bit. We just had closings again for Hurricane Michael. So forgive me if I sound a little bit distracted because I'm getting bells and whistles all over the place, okay? I'm going to focus and get you, but if I sound a little choppy, it's just because I have all these bells and whistles going on about school closures, etc. And I just need to look at it real quick to make sure it's not anything to do with having to pick up kids immediately, okay? Sorry about that. All right, so RC2 is your 9 learning experiences. If you look at your cheat sheet, which I put on notes number 11, and if you want to follow along in your book, it's going to kind of help you to know where everything goes. So definitely take pretty good notes. I am recording this session. It does take about 24 hours for me to get your recording, but if you feel like you need the recording, for this particular session, I will definitely release the recording so that you can make sure that you get this right, okay? Because I do understand you guys are at work for the most part, so sometimes it doesn't, it takes a little bit longer to understand it. So the learning experience goes on the activity line. You may want to say, hey, This is the activity that we're doing. Automatically, your brain wants to put the name of the activity here, but the activity line, guys, is actually going to come from the resource collection 2 learning experiences. So quickly in the chat area, give me one of those learning experiences that are going to go on that line. In the chat area, give me one of those learning experiences that will go on that line. Remember, these match directly from resource collection 2. So that activity line is going to come directly from your learning experiences in your book. Give me one of the learning experiences that you will place on that line. All right, perfect. Go ahead, Elizabeth and Shantae. Mm-hmm. Then Shantae, give me one. And those learning experiences are in your book under resource collection 2. In your book under resource collection 2. Okay, so these activities are going to be the activities that you're going to list on the activity line. If you look at your cheat sheet, it says learning experience from resource collection 2. That's right. So you're going to do one sheet for each activity. So this will give you 9 learning experiences. You get credit for planning and then you get credit for implementation. We would prefer that you send the one for planning in, and then after you've implemented it, you send the one for implementation in. So use the same sheet, but you are required to take pictures of you completing the activity with the children. We understand that Head Start or, some of the privacy guidelines, etc. So you are okay to take pictures from the back of the actual interaction of their hands in an activity or their feet in the activity. You're also, it's okay, it's also accepted to put stickers like emoji stickers on their faces. So you do want to get permission just to let the director know that you are taking pictures. Some directors will even come in and take the pictures if you're not allowed to, that sort of thing. But it is a course criteria that you must capture your interaction. We will not give credit for just the planning of the activity. Let me know that you understand that. Let me know if you have any questions about that. So similar to what you do for TS Gold, for you guys who are using TS Gold, you should be capturing the interaction and uploading it in the program. We do request that you capture the interaction. So it's a twofold. It's a planning and then it's an implementation. Some people send it all together. That's fine, but we prefer you to send it separate to give you credit for each. Yes, that is correct, through the email. Yes, please label them. Please label them because we will not guess what activity they're for. Absolutely, please label them. Either one, Julie, most of the time people do with them in the picture. That's acceptable. That's fine. It's an honor system there, but we do want you, to know that you're actually planning out the activity. Okay. But I don't like pictures personally, so some of us out there who don't. All right. So then you have your theme and curriculum. The curriculum activity means the learning experience, including the objective. So whatever curriculum activity you're doing, this is going to be where this goes. So if you're doing, I don't know, what did everybody do this year? The self-image activity, all about me. It will be all about me for children to have the opportunity to express who they are through art. Okay? So whatever your curriculum activity is, just make sure that you also are telling a little bit about the activity. We need to know that it is an activity that actually matches your learning experience. Does that make sense? Alrighty, perfect. Okay, perfect. Introduction. How do you introduce the activity to children? So if you look at your cheat sheet, it says, how do you introduce the activity to the children? What did you use to introduce the activity to the children? Best practices states that we plan out how to introduce for the children. And generally, it's given to us in our curriculum, different ways or methods we can introduce. So you want to choose one. Don't give us everything in the curriculum if you didn't do everything in the curriculum, because remember, the curriculum gives you choices. You may be able to introduce during town hall. You may introduce with a song or a book, etc. So choose one way that you introduce, or you will be introducing the activity to the children, okay? Song, puppet. Powwow means that you did like a one-on-one. Some things you have to do one-on-one and introduce to the children. If you have infants, toddlers, you may be doing a lot of powwows, meaning that you're kind of engaging them or engrossing them in the activity by talking to them or coaching them through where the activity is located. So that would be considered a powwow. Flash mob is like if you were dancing and then you all decided to do something, and get everybody to the table, like the Sean Brown Super Fun Show, shake like a duck, now quack, quack, quack to the table. You may be able to do something like that. That would be considered like a flash mob, where head and shoulders, knees and toes, and everybody is doing it, and then you start to do something on the floor, things like that. And then centers, if you introduced it through centers, or your room was set up a particular way and you had an interactive bulletin board, that's also considered an introduction. So how did you introduce the activities to the children? That's what will be on that line. Any questions about that? All right. The pre-assessment and finding gets a little tricky there. So you're going to plan for a particular age group. So if you're infant and toddler, you're going to plan for your infant and toddler. Anybody here infant and toddler, or are you guys pre-K? I think you're all pre-K. Just let me know real quick. I think you're all pre-K though. And I'm so sorry. I have so many classes now. I used to be able to know these things off the top of my head, guys. I know what's going on. I'm getting old. Okay. I thought so. Just double checking. So you're actually gonna plan for a particular child. Your Even though you may work with 3s, 4s, and 5, your credential is for 3, 4, and 5. Remember, this is the planning part of the activity. So you want to plan this out for a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, or a 5-year-old. We like you to do 3 of each for each age group, okay? Let me know if I lost you. Okay, so it's 9 learning experiences on the page. You want to do 3 for each age, 3 of them for each age group. So 3 for 3-year-olds, 3 for 4-year-olds, 3 for 5 years old. In your planning, that is. Okay. Did I lose you guys? Hello? Did I lose you guys? Let me know. Speak to me. Can you hear me? I lost you. Okay. Oh, you're good? Okay. Correct. The pre-assessment is going to be, no, the actual whole, yeah, sorry, Shantae, good question. So the pre-assessment is going to reflect the different age group. Absolutely. And you're going to use the CDC milestones for that outside of fine motor. Fine motor, you can use a different instrument. But for everything else, you're going to do, for everything else, you're going to use the CDC milestones. CDC milestones. So remember the CDC Milestone Checklist that you all printed out? That's going to be like your mock assessment instrument. Everything is going to fit into those, like your social emotional is going to be for self-concept, social emotional, and social skills, okay? So it'll say social and emotional. You'll use those 3 for that pre-assessment. And then for your fine and gross motor, well, for your gross motor, you'll use physical. And then it'll say language and literacy, and then it'll say cognitive. So cognitive will be for your science, your creative, and your math. Science, creative, and math will go under cognitive. I'm going to write it here for you, okay? And you're going to actually write down the milestone. So you're not just going to put CDC milestone 18. You're going to put the actual milestone, whatever the milestone is associated with that age group. So it's like if you were planning this out and you wanted to check a particular milestone, if a child is able to do something, you want to be able to look at you all will be, of course, using like ages and stages or the brigands, but for this activity, you're going to use the CDC milestone, okay? And for fine motor, you can use your ASQ if you want to, or another instrument. So the child is able to, use pinchers. It doesn't cover fine motor for whatever reason. It's not any good ones on there. So we don't even use it for that. Or you can leave it blank if you just are uncomfortable, okay? For fine motor, but for everything else, you need to finish it. And you're going to actually use the age of the child So you have, remember the checklist has 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and 5-year-old. So you're going to use the age of the child for that pre-assessment that you're planning for. And this is just the planning. Of course, if you only have 3-year-olds, you're going to do all the activities with your 3-year-olds. Does that make sense, guys? You'll make those modifications as you need to in that activity. That's called scoffling. So you'll bring that activity all the way down if it's a 5-year-old activity. If it's a 4-year-old activity, you'll bring it down to make sense for that child. Let me know if I lost you or you guys are good. Let me know if I lost you, if you guys are good, please. I know you're going to get the recording, but I need to know that you all are at least understanding and that you're here. Okay, no problem. No problem. So the CDC Milestone Checklist, let me pull it up for you. Okay, so you're going to actually, do you have it in front of you, Nicole, the CDC Milestone? And it's going to be a little small, but I'm just going to kind of go through it really quickly so that I can just kind of jog your memory just a little bit. If you look at like 4-year-old, say you're doing a planning activity, what did I use earlier? All About Me. Say you're doing an All About Me activity, so that's a social emotional activity, right? And in this, you're doing for social skills, okay? Here on the milestone, I would fit, out of all of these options, I would fit talks about what she likes and what she's interested in. That would be my pre-assessment. So I would have to choose a pre-assessment, and it's not letting me highlight it for whatever reason. I would have to choose out of all of these pre-assessments right here, one of them. So your choices are enjoys doing new things, plays mom and dad, is more creative with make-believe, would rather play with other children than himself. You want to be able to choose. So if I was doing the All About Me activity, maybe I'll choose enjoys doing new things, or maybe I'll choose talks about what she's interested and likes or what she's interested in. So I would actually write the whole phrase, talks about what she likes and what she's interested in. Does that make sense, guys? So you're choosing one of the milestones to match it. Okay, perfect. And once you choose your milestone, okay, no problem, Elizabeth. Once you choose your milestone, then you're going to put that milestone next to the pre-assessment and finding, all right? The supplies and materials are a little bit, areas to pay special attention to. Areas to pay special attention to. This is like an inclusion piece here. So, every activity that you do, you have 1 or 2 children that you have to make some adjustments for. Those adjustments could range from anything because that child has an IEP or an identified disability or need, or could just be a maturity issue, an age issue, could be very unique. They just never been in childcare, right? So sometimes you have to make these adjustments. Whatever it is that you would make the adjustment for, you put areas to pay special attention to. You don't have to put the child's name. You could put the type of child or the type of situation for the child. For this area, the easiest way for me to look at it is if I was a substitute or had a substitute teacher coming in. What is it that I would want that substitute teacher to know? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can't pull off everything if they don't have all the pieces to how you do it with a particular child, right? So if I was doing the All About Me activity and I still had a very young child, or I had a child that eat the crayons, break the crayons up, well, whatever the situation is, that will be something that I would be concerned about, because they can't do the activity if they're unfamiliar with the material, right? So that's what you would put in that area. Questions about that? All righty. The next area is going to be supplies or materials needed. So supplies needed is anything you have to prepare for. So you see that saves preparation time. If you have to actually put something together to make the activity work, maybe you're doing an interactive bulletin board, or maybe you're going to zone everything out in different sensors and redefine or recreate the room. That would be your supplies, okay? Things that you need to pull that off. The materials are everything that you need to pull the entire activity together. So if you created a special song or you used a different book, we want to know what you used to pull the activity together. The evaluation is, were the children able to master the milestone? So this means that this comes with your implementation credit. Were the children able to master the milestone? You want to discuss the milestone and state if the children, in general, were able to master it, or if you have to revisit it at another time. Or if majority of the children were able to do it, just one or two, but you noted it in your areas of areas to pay special attention to. The follow-up is, how do you engage or inform the parents about this activity? What is it that the parents can do to transfer this activity into the home environment? So it's not homework, but it is a follow-up or a way that you engaged. Maybe you had a bulletin, interactive area on the outside of the door for the pickup parents. Or maybe you sent the materials home for the parents to build the activity or material list of inexpensive items that the parents can recreate the activity in the home environment. All right? Any questions about this? Okay. If you have questions, some people like to send me their first one just to check it out. I don't have a problem with that. So if you fill it out and you want to text me your first one, that's absolutely acceptable, okay? Because then I can look at it and tell you what to change, or if you have it right, so that you can have a model for the rest. All righty? Everybody has my number, how to text me. Shantae, I don't think I get texts from you. Do you have my number?